Step one, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step two, get some good, some food in you. Step three, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step four, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Good morning, and welcome to Good Morning Crypto, where we turn your early hours of the morning into your edge in financial freedom. Today, I've got a few headlines. They touch on the trade wars that are on pause for now with Mexico and Canada. But it looks like the Chinese trade war will be going full force. So we'll dive on into that after we touch on these stock heat maps and crypto heat maps and dive into this morning's data. So let's get you prepped for some success today. We've got Apple sitting down at 3.39 from its close yesterday, and the pre-market looking down just a little bit, down at 0.4. We've got Nvidia sitting down at 2.84 from its close yesterday, and the pre-market is sitting up a 0.56 right now. We got Berkshire Hathaway sitting down 0.87 from its close, and the pre-market seeing some light buying pressure, up 0.07. We've got Amazon sitting down a 0.11, looking quite neutral. Also looking neutral in that pre-market, up a 0.43%. We've got Eli Lilly sitting down a 0.08, so also in that neutral range. In that neutral range in the pre-market as well, up 0.17. We've got ExxonMobil looking quite neutral as well, up 0.24 in the pre-market, seeing some slight sell-off, down 0.31 so far. We've got Tesla getting hit hard yesterday, down 5.17 in the pre-market, doing all right, seeing some slight buying pressure, up 0.4%. We've got P&G is sitting up 1.67 in the pre-market, seeing some light sell-off, down 0.31 so far. We've got Microsoft down a full percent from its close yesterday, looking quite neutral in the pre-market so far, down 0.12. We've got Google also down quite heavy, down 1.44 in the pre-market, seeing some buying pressure though, up 0.56%. And we've got Meta sitting up quite nicely from its close yesterday, up 1.2 in the pre-market, continuing to see some buying pressure, up 0.45%. For the crypto side of things, we are looking quite neutral on the daily. We've got Bitcoin up 0.16. We've got Ethereum up 0.24. We've got XRP up 0.0. This is the hourly. Let me get that moved to the daily. I was about to say, that does not look right. We've got Bitcoin sitting down at 2.05. We've got Ethereum sitting down at 3.92. We've got XRP sitting down at 3.97. BNB is sitting down 5.28. We've got Dogecoin sitting down at 5.56. Looks like XRP has resurpassed Tether in its market cap. We've got Solana sitting down at 3.55. Cardano sitting down at 7.66. We've got Tron sitting down 2.63. Chainlink down at 5.95. To wrap out that top 10, we do have Avalanche sitting down at 6.74. Stellar Lumens down big, like XRP, 5.52. Sweet taking some losses, down at 5.68. And we've got HBAR sitting down at 7.06. Let's hop over to that economic calendar for today. We do have some data coming out this morning at 10 o'clock Eastern time. That would be that JOLTS job opening, looking to come down just a little bit on those JOLTS jobs opening. So looking like that labor market is seeing a little bit of some strength returning to it. We'll kind of have to keep our eye on that though. We do have a little bit of some other data in the day. We will have a few Fed chairs speaking this afternoon, 11 o'clock and 2 o'clock. We also have that crude oil stock change at market close, just like always. And then for the big data tonight, we do have the S&P Global Australia Services PMI final. That will be at 5 Eastern Time. We do get Japan's PMI final as well coming out at 7:30. We will also have the same thing coming out of China at 8:45. Those will be the big market movers for that Asia trading session. Let's hop over to our fear and greeds and liquidation heat map. As I was talking about the other day, I did think that stock market would head back into that fear range, and we are down 6 points and in 38. I've still got my eyes on hitting some extreme fear on the stock market side of things. They do get a bigger dip on that fear and greed when you get those smaller dumps here. So definitely something to keep our eyes on. The market is a little bit fearful, and we have been seeing some continued sell-off in the pre-market. We've got the crypto side of things back up 28 points from that move back to the upside, and 100,000 on Bitcoin. We are sitting at 72, and greed might have been the cool off we were looking for. Might still see some downside if we are unable to turn some key areas into some support. Let's take a look at that liquidation heat map and see what we're seeing for some liquidity zones. We do have a little bit of a hot spot to the bottom side of us, sitting at that 797 700 all the way down to 97 300 for that big hotspot on the daily. That is right above a key area I would like to see turned into some support to continue an upside movement. We also have that 3-day with a lot of liquidity to the top side of us. There is a brief little hot spot on the bottom side sitting at that 97,000 range that I was talking about on the daily. For the top side, that's going to be 102,800 that we could go grab if we confirm that area as some support and continue our move to the upside. We've got that weekly looking quite the same as that 3-day. That hot spot is above us at that 102,000. The very hot spot is going to be back up at those highs, $107,000. We do have that 2-week looking quite the same as well. No liquidity really residing to the bottom side of us, as we've cleared out most of that from that move down, and we're now sitting around some key levels that we could turn into some support before we really go back up and grab this top side liquidity sitting at the highs. Let's say hello to the chat this morning. We've got Alexandra G in here. We've got Jesse Gulak. We've got Donato Cabrera in here. Good morning to you. I see Jay Violet in the chat. Good morning, Jay Violet, or good afternoon, Jay Violet, since you're over in Australia. I see the Dusty Hunt saying, why did y'all let Biddy retrace? Well, we got a massive move to the upside, so seeing us come back just a little bit is definitely a healthy move. We can pull a fib retracement on that and see where we're sitting for this current range that we moved up and came back down on. Like smashed, says the Dusty Hunt. I appreciate that. We've got Michael Kilo in here saying Coin Market Cap has all those cryptos up, not down on the daily. What site are you using? This is TradingView. So we did see a bit of a retrace from the highs yesterday. So that's what I was looking at there. I can check the bubbles as well to kind of see. I see Country Keith in here. Good morning to you, sir. And L Jones. Been a while since I've seen you in the chat dropping that pink hand for us. Got Jay Violet saying 8:09 p.m. here. Jesse Gulak a 1:09 here. It's 6:10 here. So good morning or good afternoon or good evening. We will hop into this Bitcoin chart and see what we're seeing for the day. We did have a move back up to the upside. We got very close to that 102 800 range that I've talked about quite a bit here, which is also a value area high for the range, but we faltered just short of that. We did see a nice move up here. Let's get that drawn from the low to the high there, and it looks like we've tried to turn that 382 into some support from this current range here. Let's get that move back up. We are sitting right below the 236, and this is that key area I was talking about needing to turn into some support here if we got that move back up to the upside. Jay Violet says, so early for you, BC. I'm actually up at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and then I go to the gym, and then I sit down and I look at the charts, and then after my show, I go to work. So I am an early morning person. I like the peacefulness of no one else being awake. It makes me feel like I get a lot done before the day's even started. So that's why I like to be up early. Let's see what we're seeing on some of these shorter term time frames though. This is that 15-minute. It is looking a bit toppy on our prime oscillator on as we approach this key area. That's also the 236 on our fib retracement. That looks like might be a little bit of resistance unless we can get that money flow really coming back in. Volume is coming up though, and it is looking like green for the 15-minute. Let's take a look at this daily. We do have things still looking a little bit down. We are making some lower highs and lower lows here, so just need to really break that trend. This could have been the pivot point once we got really close to that bottom side that I said I didn't want to see, and I wanted to see more of a bounce at 95,500. That would have been a nice higher low on things, and continuing that trend to a nice little reversal spot to continue that trend back to the upside. We do have this 236, which is going to be a strong area to try to turn into some support here. We are above it on the daily, and we're looking to try to turn it into some support here. You've got your prime oscillator looking like it's about ready to hit a reversal on things. We are moving quite sideways here, waiting for that money flow to kind of pick back up. It is kind of holding steady here, which is nice to see that it hasn't been a hard switch from either selling to buying pressure, and it's just been a steady stream of buying here in this range. We do have that reversal signal that'll need to start flashing here soon. I don't think we'll see some oversold signals really flash, but that reversal signal would kind of need to flash first, maybe see a secondary reversal signal flash after we retest some of these key areas. We do have that 99,300 being that first area that we could come test, and that's kind of where we're sitting at now. We do have the 4-hour looking like it's ready to move back up to the upside on the MACD. We're moving a little bit back to the upside after we have crossed that indicator line on the bottom side of things. It is a slight sideways move back to the upside though. So we would need to see heavy buying pressure coming on in, and we're not really seeing that just yet. You've got your prime oscillator in that red as our money flow is looking to be a little bit more of that selling pressure here. We could come back down just a little bit to that 95 before we really hit that push back up to the top side if we are unable to get back to the top side of this 236 and turn it into some strong support. Let's zoom that on in to the hourly and kind of see what the day might bring our way. we do have us getting some curvature back to the top side on our prime oscillator. Really waiting for that first reversal signal to flash, though. We haven't seen that coming in just yet. Our money flow is starting to come back in, though. That selling is slowing down just a bit after we got that nice little bounce off of the 20 moving average there. Waiting for that MACD to finish that curvature back to the top side and hit that cross on the indicator line like we saw on the 15-minute. So if we can hit that with some continued buying pressure, turn this 236 here into some support, we could launch back up to that 102,800 range, and before we really see some strong faltering. We do have a lot of equal candle bodies back here at that 101,500. So you could see a brief stalling there on the way up, which if you haven't hit an entry by that point, after we've turned this into some support, that might be a next key area to kind of look at to ride the rest of that wave to the upside. I see Darren Does Things in here saying good morning, late catching up on 2X. Well, if it's a good thing I talk kind of slow. Piper on 2X is something insane. I had to show my girl that the other day. I showed her me on 2X and I showed her Piper on 2X, and she was like, I don't know how he does that. We got Paul Caruso in here saying good morning, everyone. Good morning to you, Paul Caruso. I see Al Jr. saying good morning, beautiful people. Good morning to you, Al Jr. And I see Allset saying good morning, BC and fam. Good morning to you, Allset. I hope you're having a great day so far. Let's hop over to some of these news articles I was looking at. We did see the trade war on pause for Canada and Mexico, but it looks like it's all speed ahead with China. U.S.-China trade tensions escalate as China retaliates with new tariffs and sanctions. China announced a series of retaliatory measures against the U.S. on Tuesday, marking an escalation in the ongoing trade dispute between the world's two largest economies. The Chinese Ministry of Commerce said it will impose an additional 15% tariff on U.S. coal and liquefied natural gas imports, citing concerns over fentanyl and other issues. Additionally, a 10% tariff will be applied to crude oil, agricultural machinery, and various automotive products, including large displacement cars and pickup trucks from the U.S. The measure comes in direct response to the U.S. implementation of a 10% tariff on Chinese goods, which took effect at 12:01 a.m. Beijing criticized the U.S. action on Sunday as a violation of World Trade Organization rules, stating it undermines normal economic and trade cooperation between China and the U.S. China also expanded its unreliable entity list to include two prominent American companies, PVH Corp., owner of Calvin Klein, and the biotechnology firm Illumina. The ministry cited violations of market principles and discrimination against Chinese enterprises. The ministry also launched an antitrust investigation into Google, though specific details about the probe were not discussed. The trade dispute has extended to postal services, with the U.S. Customs and Border Protection announcing new restrictions on packages from China and Hong Kong. These shipments will now require formal customs entry and will no longer qualify for administrative duty exemptions, including de minimis clearance, according to the CBP notice released on Monday. This is just a bigger escalation on things, and China is definitely trying to counteract some of the tariffs that the U.S. is going to be proposing on them. that is a 10% tariff on all Chinese goods from America, and China is trying to hit back where it hurts. They are trying to levy tariffs on our bigger exports, and that's going to be that crude oil, our natural gas, and on coal. These are some of the biggest energy producers that the United States exports, and it's definitely going to hit just a little bit harder. Hopefully, this doesn't impact the price of oil too much. We will kind of have to keep our eyes open and watch. I know Xi Jinping has talked about wanting to negotiate with Trump, and this will kind of open the door to those negotiations. We'll also have to keep our eyes out to see if Trump raises any new tariffs or increases these percentages, because this is just the beginning, and I don't think it ends anytime soon, as he has end goals for all of this. You already see Mexico and Canada wanting to negotiate with the United States, which definitely dropped the dollar just a little bit yesterday after he said he was going to pause them. The dollar got a nice boost off of the tariff information, and it looks like for now we'll see a 30-day pause as they try to negotiate with Trump. You don't negotiate from a position of weakness, you negotiate from a position of strength, and Trump definitely has the upper hand here. I see Crypto Princess in the chat. Good morning, good morning. She says, good day, ladies and gentlemen. I can't stay, just dropped in to wish you a great live stream and say hello. Well, I hope you're having a great day, Crypto Princess. Let's see who else. We see French Toaster in the chat. Good morning to you, sir. I see... Oh, Darren Does Things was saying, good morning to the chat. We see Alexander G saying good morning to J Violet and Crypto Princess. I see maybe a Band-Aid in the chat. Good morning to you. And it looks like that's about it for now. Let's hop over to this next news article. We do have gold surging to all-time highs. So I've talked about this quite a bit as we've seen a lot of market uncertainty, and gold was that flood for a lot of money here, especially as these bonds have been selling off and people want safety. So gold surges to new record above 2,830 after Trump rolls back tariff plan. Precious metals pulled a slingshot move to start the week after a few phone calls with Mexico and Canada placed the import duties on hold. Gold prices got a powerful boost on Monday and broke out to new record high above 2,830 per ounce. This was all due to the stunning announcement that Trump is pausing his 25% tariffs on imports from Canada and Mexico for at least 30 days. Still good, gold bugs probably as they jump back to doing what they do best, scooping up the precious metal in boatloads. Gold not only pared back all the losses on the day, but shot higher by about 0.5% and wrapped up the session with a record close of 2,814, surpassing its previous record of roughly 2,800 per ounce. And just as the markets were taking a breather and enjoying the gains, things changed. The US didn't say anything about pausing tariffs on Chinese goods. The 10% import duty officially kicked off this week, meaning that all stuff imported from China will get slapped with 10% levies as it enters the United States. China didn't sit idle. It hit back with a slamming 15% tariff on select U.S. imports starting on February 10th. The additional tax will apply to coal, liquefied natural gas imports from the U.S., a 10% tariff on crude oil, like we talked about in that other article. And that's how the market got pulled back into a whirlwind of tariffs, trade wars, and ill intentions, but expected volatility in gold to continue as traders digest what is happening. And this is why I've been looking at gold quite heavily. It is that safety asset. I did draw a new Fibonacci extension here. We did surpass the last one and bumped up against that 1618 that I had talked about, and that was at 2,826 mark. We did get above it just briefly before we really started seeing some selling pressure there. That's why I drew out a brand new fib extension to kind of see what levels we might hit. We do have us sitting right below that golden pocket on a Fibonacci extension here after getting that boost back up to the top side. This is going to be a strong resistance level. That is at 2,823. As you can see, we've bounced off of it quite heavily every single time we've gotten up to it. We are looking to hold that 50% as some strong support. That is at 2,813. If we can continue to see some strong money flow coming in, we have cooled off the prime oscillator here quite nicely. We got a bit of a cool down on our MACD and are curving back to the upside. So just waiting on that money flow to come back in as some buying pressure and try to hit some higher prices on gold. We do have that 2,836 being the platinum pocket there, which I would look at for the next little resistance area, depending on how hard this money is coming in to scoop up gold. You do have the top side of the range being that 2,853. I do think we see a bit of a pause here on that range as we see some of the shorter term time frames get into a point where we might see some topping a little bit quicker here. You are very, very close to the last area we saw some topping on a prime oscillator, and same on the MACD here on this 15-minute. The 15-minute definitely has a little bit more room to run on the MACD before we start seeing some resistance though, and that's where I would try to see us turn that $2,830 into some support before we try to continue up to that platinum pocket, hit a little bit of a cool off on those oscillators. We are sitting at some key areas on silver as well. We got us sitting right above this strong support line that has been drawn out for quite a while here. We've gotten back to the top side. We got that nice little bouncing off of a key area I had wanted to see. You zoom that back on out, and we are sitting right above our support line here, waiting for that bounce back to the top side and try to turn that 3263 into some support, where we saw a lot of buying pressure and selling pressure in the range above that top side being that $32.83, which we would also need to kind of turn into some support before we try to go back to levels we haven't seen on silver in quite a while. That 4 hours looking like it's got some continued room to run if we can see a quick switch on the money flow. We do have us trying to cool down a bit on top of our support line. It's been quite a while since we've been here, and this was all a fair value gap as well. So looking to kind of test some of this area here. We do have the S&P 500 sitting at some key levels as well. We did get that rejection off of our golden pocket on a Fibonacci extension, and are looking to turn this CME gap that I had drawn out into some strong support and continue to the upside. You are seeing very hard selling pressure here on our higher term time frames, and that's something that is going to need to switch around. We need that buying pressure to kind of come back in, but it's not looking like we're really going to get that there. We do have a big CME gap to the bottom side of us as well. That's starting at that 5,906 and goes all the way down to 5,844. Let's get that drawn out real quick so we can see it a little bit better and see where we might bounce inside of that range. Let's get that inside drawn blue and lock it. We do have a nice little bouncing area at the 236, which is going to be that 5,867. Is really going to need to see what kind of buying pressure comes in at that 50% fib line at 5,925, which was that area we really got that strong bounce from. This does just look like lower highs and lower lows though, so if we continue that downtrend, I would look at breaking below. We do see that 5,906 being the start of the CME gap, which we might fall into. We'll really need to see how things go at market open and see if that job data really gives a boost to the market. We got Lunchable Connoisseur in the chat. Good morning to you. He says, if I had a choice to have one in it, it would probably have a Snorlax so I can sleep on him when I need a nap, and it would probably have good lunch spots. I don't know how the chat got to some Pokemon, but I love that one. Snorlax does look like a big beanbag there, so I'm sure he'd be a great pillow. Got Jesse Gulak saying, I love this chat. So many great minds in one chat. I love this chat too. Y'all are sometimes a little bit wild in the chats though. We don't have username in here, so it's a little bit tame this morning. But I appreciate every one of you for showing up and participating in the chat. It means a lot, and I like seeing all your names popping up in the chat. Y'all have got some wild things to say sometimes, but it always makes the morning interesting. I don't know if anyone has any alt requests they'd like me to take a look at, but I can definitely take a look at some alt requests today. I just had the Dixie I wanted to take a look at, and I've been watching Nier. We got up to some key levels, and it looks like we might try to make a little bit of a bounce at an area I had been talking about. We do have the Dixie, which is finally closed a giant CME gap. Let's get that top side back to that candle body open. There we go there. We did end up closing this, and on the way to closing it, we created a new CME gap, which we have left open just barely there. Let's get that other one drawn out so you can kind of see where we might come down to as these trade wars with China and Mexico have been put on. We actually got the bounce off of the bottom side of that CME gap. So that was that 108 and 25, which we got a strong bounce off of, and have now pushed back into this old CME gap. We do have an area right above us, which we will need to kind of turn into some support here, which is right below where we're sitting now, and that's that 108.64. We do have very equal candle bodies here that we launched off of, and it looks like we've rejected off of it just briefly for the morning, as we are seeing some topping signals on the 15-minute, getting curvature on our prime oscillator and our MACD here on the shorter term time frame. So might see that 108.50 come back into play before we really get that pushback up to the top side. We do have that 1 hour looking like it's got plenty of room to run though. We did get a little bit brief bounce off of our indicator line as we broke below zero, but we're now looking to curve back up on the MACD as well as the prime oscillator. Just flip to that green as we've broken back into the CME gap and are looking to see us turn this key area into some support that we are kind of faltering at just a little bit. Allows us to cool off just a little bit more, really waiting for that market open though, and I think that's where we'll start seeing some movements. If you do see gold getting bought up quite heavily, that might push the dollar down just a little bit further, and that's where we do have a platinum pocket sitting right below us at 108.12, and that's going to be a very, very strong area to turn into some support here. We didn't get a very nice clean bounce off of it. We just blasted straight through it, created a CME gap, and have never come back to turn it into some support. We did get some nice clean bounces off of it back here. We've also just blasted through it quite a bit here. So we've never really retested this key area on our Fibonacci extension. I see Baba Yaz in the chat getting ready for the day. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to you, Baba Yaz. I hope you're getting that caffeine this morning, because it might be a little bit of a wild day on some of these charts, especially with JOLTS jobs opening and all of the tariff information that we've been getting. China slapping us with some retaliation tariffs, and the pause on the Canada and Mexico tariffs as we try to negotiate with these two countries from a position of strength. Now, what I want to look at is Toshi. You'll have to drop that ticker in the chat for me, because I'm not sure what that ticker would be. We are waiting to try to see the dollar turn these key areas into some support. We do have the 4-hour looking like it's got some continued downside, really waiting on some of the higher term time frames to have some continued green money flow coming in. We do have that 1 day that is looking like it's trying to hit that cross of our indicator line on the MACD on the top side, as our prime oscillator is getting that move back up. So just waiting for that money flow to start coming in on the shorter term time frames before we really get that move back up. Toshi is the ticker, says Jesse. All right, well, I'll get that added to the list. Anyone else got any alt requests? Go ahead and drop them in the chat. I haven't seen any so far. Got Lunchable Connoisseur saying, love me some Toshi. I have not taken a look at Toshi before. This is a brand new one for me, so it will be a quite naked chat. Will this Chinese tariff give me another discount on XRP? It could. I think more so the agreement that the U.S. comes to with Mexico and Canada might be that push on some lower prices here, especially since those will have more of a market import. A flat 10% tariff is less impactful than a broad 25% tariff on Canadian goods and Mexico goods, and that's going to be more of a market impact, especially since a lot of those goods are manufactured in Mexico and are looking to be pushed back to the United States with some of these tariffs. He is trying to negotiate from a position of strength, so if we do see some of those tariffs not being enacted after they've negotiated over the next 30 days, we might have seen that bottoming at 92,000 on Bitcoin, and a bunch of those alts that got that strong dip down might have seen their bottom. I see Silver Days XRP in the chat. Good morning to you. And I see a request for Moonwell. So I can take a look at that one as well. I was looking at Near. I've been watching Near quite closely. It is one of my favorite alts. It is a nice AI, an AI helpful project. It in itself is not AI. It does have some AI on its blockchain though that does quite nicely and moves quite quick. We do have us sitting at some levels that we got some right below, which we got some rejections off of. That $3.53 was something I was looking at, and I did some buying back in that range. I didn't miss out on some of these lower ones, but that was okay to me because I had a plan and I stuck to my plan. And it looks like we're trying to push back up to it. We are seeing some brief resistance in this range as our MACD and prime oscillator are starting to get that move back to the top side. Prime oscillator is sitting light red, and that MACD is looking to hit that cross on the bottom side of things for this hourly, and we'll just have to kind of see if we can get some continued buying pressure to come back in on this range. You have $3.84, which is going to be a bit of a resistance area, which we have seen come into play before. If we do manage to turn that $3.53 into some support, which has been a strong resistance and bouncing level and nears history, we could see that move back up to $3.83. You have that 4-hour looking like it's got a bit more to do here. If we do bounce off of this indicator line, I would look back down at that $3.08 being a strong area to really get a bounce off of. You have your prime oscillator showing some oversold, a nice reversal signal back when we got some right before we got some of the lows. We did continue on down, got a bounce below right above that platinum pocket, and below this area I really wanted to see hold. If we got a drop down and are looking to move sideways here on our prime oscillator here on the higher term time frame as we wait for some continued money flow to come in. Let's take a look at that 15-minute and see what the morning is bringing our way. We are looking quite toppy as we get to this $3.53. We made a push up there and pushed back down before we made another push up there. Looking to turn, we looked like we turned that $3.42 in, where we faltered to try to get back up to that $3.53 into some strong support here. So if we do reject and move more sideways back down to that $3.42, that'd be a strong area to kind of hold. If we do lose that, we've got plenty of room to fall though. This is where I had talked about yesterday, looking at that $3.20 that I'd really want to see that strong bounce and continuation from. This is just going to depend on some of the data that we see this morning, because there's a potential that it doesn't come out as positive as everyone would like, or even if it is a little positive, it is not seem as overwhelmingly positive, especially with all the looming tariff news here. I did have Toshi requested and Moonwell. I haven't seen any other alt requests, but if anyone does have any of those as we get into these alt requests, go ahead and drop those in the chat and I'll take a look. I've got plenty of time. We've got about 15 minutes to look at some alts here. We did have Toshi requested. I'm not sure what you'd want to look at that on, but I will see what has the most history here. I see on Coinbase. Let's zoom this on out to a 4-hour. Looks like we got a nice strong bounce here. Let's see where we're sitting on a fib retracement. Geez, that top side was quite a move to a move up there. We went from a 0.032 all the way up to 0.025, knocking off of zeros on that whole push to the top side there, and it looks like we're sitting right below that golden pocket. Got a bit of a rejection on that range. Might need to move that up to the low before the high. I'm not sure what price action was before that, and it looks like a nice bounce off of that platinum pocket there. There we go, and a strong rejection off of the golden pocket. we're trying to turn this platinum pocket into a support area. We do see a money flow coming out on the 4 hour. We are looking to kind of continue that move to the upside though, getting a nice little platinum pocket bounce there. Let's kind of see on a Fibonacci extension where we might be sitting. Let's hide that one and see for a Fibonacci extension where we might go. We do have that low to the high. Let's zoom that just a bit. There we go. To the high, to the low from back there. It looks like we faltered a bit at that 236. Looking to turn that into some support here before we really make that continuation to the top side. We got that strong rejection off of the 50% Fibonacci before we really continue this downtrend. That's where we'll need to turn this back into some support. We did get a brief bounce off of that before we continued that downtrend. INJ, we got to talk about it. I can definitely take a look at INJ. It is at some very, very lows there. So definitely a point I was looking at buying. My bags were down a bit, so I took advantage and did a little bit of buying. I don't think it might be fully over though. Let's zoom this on in to an hourly. Take a look at that one. We are faltering a bit at this 236 as we got some bounces to the bottom side of it. Looks to cool off. Those oscillators here, the prime oscillator got a bit of some cool off. Money flow holding steady as our true 7 it just turned green here. So if we can see some money flow moving in as some buying pressure, we could really see that move back up above the 236 before we see that next bit of faltering. We are looking to curve on that prime oscillator and hit a little more cooling off though. Your MACD also is getting that curve back down. Looking for that money flow to kind of come back in. We do have the 15-minute looking like it's already in that downtrend there. Waiting to see if we make some lower lows or just move sideways and try to cool things off to get that push back up. This will depend a lot on the money flow here. The selling pressure is increasing and you do have some strong support down below us. Let's get that drawn out. That's where we saw some pretty equal candle bodies. That's gonna be 0 0, let's see, 0 0 9 0 0 0 9 2 9 2. It's going to be an area of support that we have right below us. If we end up faltering in this range, you have a bit of an area below that as well, where you could try to turn some key areas into some support where we got a strong bounce from the highs here before we really try to reclaim that 236. It's going to be that 0008628, which if we are unable to hold this would be that next little bouncing range I take a look at. That's where we got a strong bounce off of, kind of very equal with these highs from over here. Trade Intuition in the house. Good morning to you, sir. Did you not get much sleep last night? I don't see you in here unless you had a late night. So I hope you got some sleep though, sir. I see VW John in the house. Good morning to you. Hope you are having a great day so far. Let's hop over to Moonwell here. We do see a bit of some continued selling here on Toshi. So that's where I would try to look and turn some of those areas below us into some strong support before we get back up to that 236 there. We did have I hit M. I hit M. And that kind of mutes things. Moonwell. Yep. Thank you for letting me know. I saw y'all saying that quite quickly. So got that fixed for you. We did get a nice little bounce off of our equal lows here. I got to remember when I type out on projects that have M to undo that mute. So looking like we're getting a bit of some curvature here on our prime oscillator, waiting to hit that cross of our indicator line on the bottom side of things, but it's looking like it's moving a little bit sideways here. Would really need to see this money flow coming in strong as some buying pressure. Your prime oscillator is getting a bit of a curvature back up to the upside, but your volume is solid red as your money flow looks to be continued selling pressure here. I don't know any previous price action on Moonwell. This is the Coinbase chart here. So there might be some lower bouncing ranges on Moonwell from previous history. I don't know if there's any other chart that would have a better price history for that. So I just have to go off of these Fibonacci retracements here, and if you do see some continued selling pressure, you have that 0.13247 being that area I would kind of look at if we are unable to make sure that we hold that 0.27831 there. I see Duality Crypto in the house. Good morning to you, sir. I hope you are having a great day so far. See those ribs flying in the chat. Good. Thank you to all of you. Let's drop that rib emoji in there for you. Rib chat, rib chat. I see Crypto Coin Mindset in the chat. Good morning to you, sir. Let me drop that link to your channel. If y'all haven't checked him out, he makes some great content. I did a special with him the other day, which I had a lot of fun doing. It's always fun to get some discussions and some different viewpoints on things. If you want to check out that video, it is a bit of a longer one. It's about an hour and a half, but we discussed this strategic Bitcoin reserve, and we kind of compared that to what we'd want to see with a crypto stockpile, which has been discussed. Let's zoom Moonwell in to a shorter term time frame and see what we're seeing on the hourly here. It does look like that money flow is starting to come in as some buying pressure. This could have been our strong support area. We do have that daily though that looked like it might see some continued downside if this money flow doesn't roll over into some higher term time frames. You have a bit of a resistance area from back at the lows here. Let's get that one drawn out. That's going to be 0.37456, which would be that area we really need to turn into some support. We got very equal lows from back here, and that's right where we faltered. We did try to make a brief push back above it on the way to the downside before we really confirmed our lows on launch on Coinbase as our lows there. We did falter a bit at that range and are looking to try to make that push back to the top side as money flow is coming back in quite nicely here on the 1 hour. Let's see where that 15-minute is sitting. We do have that 15-minute looking a bit toppy. If we do see some continued buying pressure coming in, which it looks like we're just starting to see that selling pressure on the shorter term time frame. And that's where you might see some of these bounces back down here at a 0.33 area. If we're unable to maintain that, which was strong support here, it is kind of a bit of a ride back all the way down to 0.312. So that's kind of what I would look at if we see some continued selling pressure on the shorter term time frame. And we had Injective requested. Let's hop over to my favorites and take a look at Injective. we were unable to maintain a fair value gap. That was quite old. Let's get that zoomed out to the daily there. It was a fair value gap from way back here. It has finally been closed. It took quite a while to close that, but we are finally on that closed. We did break below that platinum pocket here, and I'm looking at potentially hitting that $10 all over again on Injective. That is quite a retracement for Injective, and it looks like on some of these higher term time frames you have the potential to hit it. You did see our first reversal signal flash, but our selling volume is picking up here. So that's that strong support area which was resistant back here. If we do break below it, I am a bit worried, but I would look at us trying to turn that into some support. It was a fair value gap on the move on up, so retesting the midline of that before we really push back up to the top side, cool off these oscillators, wait for that second reversal signal. It would be a move to see. It will really depend on that Bitcoin price action. So if we do see some of those bottom sides that I was talking about, where we had some liquidity stacking up, that $10 is looking a bit nice on Injective, and I will definitely be scooping up some more. We have that 15-minute looking like we might see a bit of faltering as we approach that platinum pocket here. Prime oscillator just ticked back to the green and is curving back up, but you've got your MACD just hitting that zero line, and it's hitting it in quite of a sideways move here. Just waiting for some continued money flow to really buy things back up, kind of like the rest of the market. So definitely coming up to some key areas all over again on Injective, and I would look at that $16. It's $17 and about 15 cents. Let's zoom it on out, see what the platinum pocket really is there. I might need to zoom that on out a little bit further. We got that platinum pocket at $17.06 there, which might be that first little resistance area we come up to, especially as we are starting to see some of the money flow coming back in, being some buying pressure, but you are seeing us be a bit toppy on that prime oscillator, and we aren't really hitting that cross of our zero line on the MACD with a strong move to the upside. It is looking to be a little more sideways. Could definitely just hit that bounce rejection off there, cool off just a bit, turn some of these lows into some support. That's where we would really need to see this a blast through that $14.94 before we really get that pushback up there. X Sin in the chat, she said, where you going? I said the moon. Yeah, I'm waiting for that on a bunch. We do have a bunch of economic news that will be coming out today that might falter that just a little bit. That's where I'd want to see us get back to on Injective before we really confirm that bullishness on it. We do have that strong support area at $10.01, which would be a kind of a last hold on Injective that I don't want to see get hit, but would also be quite happy to see get hit, because it means I'm buying up a lot of Injective. I did sell off some of my Injective as we made some of those topping signs back here where we got above that, topped out at that 36. I did hold some because I don't like to fully sell all my bags. I wanted to leave some exposure, but I've been talking about a downside on my channel for quite a while, and so is the rest of the Piper Academy. So I hope y'all have been prepared for that. And I hope these trade wars don't worry you so much that you forget to click that buy button sometimes. So all of y'all. Have an amazing day. I appreciate every single one of you for tuning in, and I will most definitely be seeing you in the Alexo Crypto chat here in just a minute. Make sure to tune in to that morning market report at 9:30 Eastern Time. Show Piper and OC some love. Hit that like button for them. We've got the Trade Academy at 4 p.m. with Trade Intuition. He was in the chat a little earlier. That's going to be at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. We've got the Crypto Nightcap with TradeFly and FDY at 8 p.m. And we've got Markets After Dark with Lunar Beaches Crypto at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. Make sure to give them all some love. Hit that like button for them. And if you're not subscribed, and you like the content, go ahead, subscribe, hit that notification bell, because we've got 5 shows a day and it can be hard to keep track of. Other than that, make sure you wake up, because today's going to be a good day.